Hey everyone, I am TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kyle, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we talk Nintendo news of the past month, or let's be real, in this case it's really of the next month, because Switch 2, less than a week. Oh boy, that's certainly going to take up a bit of our conversation this month, and to be honest, I could have filled this with 100 little tiny bits of information we've gotten across the month, but at the end of the day, it's going to be obsolete almost by the time you're watching this, So, we've got a few other sort of smaller stories we found throughout the month to talk about, as well as just our general sort of plans for the launch day. You excited, Kai?
Yeah, getting there. I mean, it's weird that it's creeping up now. I know we've been waiting for it for years, and now that it's here, I'm like, oh, I could wait another couple of months, actually, I've got some stuff to do. I'm not even halfway through Xenoblade X, But sure, I'll take it. I'm always happy to get more Mario Kart.
Yeah, maybe it'll run a little better, have less frame issues or something on the Switch 2, I suppose, But
yeah, got to work with those upgrades. It is sort of an upgrade console rather than a whole new one after all. So I should really be looking out for that.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how things go. But for now, let's just get started with our first segment of the podcast. Can't have a podcast without news, baby, where we talk over the news highlights of the past month. And, I mean, we may be a Nintendo-focused podcast, but we have to mention what will be the biggest gaming event of the last decade, GTA 6, right? It's...
Yeah.
You can't not mention it on a gaming podcast. It got a new trailer, and the delay till May 26th next year. I guess impressions, Kai?
It's GTA.
It certainly is.
It. I mean, I will say that the graphics do look better. I mean, it's the same style, of course, but they do look much, much better, as they should. At this point, it's been so many years. So there's that, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, everything they showed off is just, hey, look, it's GTA. You've got people and, crime and... lots of stuff you can go do around the town. It's that, So it's weird.
Yeah.
There isn't really anything to be surprised by. It's weird.
It's true. It's it's very much a cinematic trailer. That much is very clear. There's no real gameplay to it. But at the end of the day, with GTA, you know that what it looks like is exactly what you're getting. The game could, if you look at it from the right angle, could be an actual live action project, and there's no denying how impressive that is. It's kind of a given at this point. It's Rockstar, it's GTA, but that's really all this trailer is about, is to just clarify, yep, this sure is a GTA and it's gonna look great, and that's all you need to know to pre-order the shit out of it, because people are going to, so...
Yeah, it's just GTA, and you know that it's going to be Game of the Year next year, and it's going to be one of the biggest selling games of all time.
Absolutely.
I am just interested in what kind of... The thing is, for me, is... have you played GTA? Let's start there. GTA 5.
I have only barely, tried it out of friends years ago, kind of for a little bit. I've dabbled in, mucking about, but not for any length of time.
I've probably got a similar level of experience then, but I have, seen a fair bit of it. And from what I've seen, the real draw of the game for a lot of people isn't necessarily just the base game. It's when you can create, your custom maps. They introduced a heist game mode that had loads of missions and stuff like that, actual planning and, interesting content. And it's those add-ons that really kept the game alive after its first couple of years, I believe. So I'm really curious on that side of things more than the actual base game itself, in terms of all of the cool things that people came to enjoy it for. Are those going to be there, and in what capacity? So that's kind of the big thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. It is not really anything there, just other than a marketing reminder that it's coming eventually. But when we actually get to see some real gameplay and what modes and features will be in it, that's going to be when there's actually stuff to talk about. And whilst I don't know that I'll pick it up, I'll probably be tempted, especially if I know friends who are getting it. You know, that's sort of the big deal for this one, isn't it? Is the online and stuff often. But yeah, for that case, we will just have to see how it goes. But whilst we're talking about things that took a lot of time to release and involve driving cars and causing chaos, Mario Kart. Mario Kart World, which of course will be coming out very shortly, we just sort of got in like a developer interview. They confirmed to us that this game has actually been in development for 8 years, and that it originally started as a Switch 1 game. And all I can say is, that explains a lot about the booster pass course, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah, it falls into place now.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm very optimistic, I think, at the moment. It's weird. I don't know, like, perfectly how to feel. So.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see, like, they don't often give that behind the scenes kind of information on their games. Nintendo often play things pretty close to their chest. So it is cool to sort of hear that confirmed and get a little bit of the behind the scenes. It'll be interesting to see, like, well, we will never know for sure, but like, what would this have been if it did come to the Switch? Like, obviously it would have been visually and powerfully a lot less, which is why it made the jump in the first place. But I guess it definitely explains why they could put it as a launch title in the first place. So it definitely lined up for them, but it does provide an interesting what if, I suppose.
Yeah, there's so much going on there as well. There's just a lot of content. Yeah, I mean, we're not far away now, are we? We're really... It's still sinking in for me. Like, when this comes out, it's going to be, like, a couple of days later.
4 days, yeah. Literally, it's...
Yeah.
It doesn't feel, like we're going to be playing a new Mario Kart, because the last new one was the Wii U in 2012 or 13 or something like that. Over a decade ago. So this definitely explains why that is the case and why the Switch never got its own Mario Kart. But it also explains why we're so damn ready for one and why this is going to be exciting. So we'll definitely be talking about that game, maybe even doing some videos on it when it comes out. You know, the whole idea of like sharing your screen and that definitely opens up possibilities for streams and stuff as well. So who knows, but a lot of options. I guess sticking with the Nintendo theme for now. Also, I'm just going to quickly mention, my mic is bugging out like crazy, and I have my finger pressed on the volume button, or it will decrease. My finger's in agony, but I'm going to keep going for this. So if you hear slight pain on my end, that's why. But positive news. We're getting an update to Nintendo 64 Online, where it is adding the rewind feature, which only the previous consoles had before. It's adding a CRT filter, and for both the Switch 2 and the OG Switch, it's now having custom button mapping for individual games, I believe, or at least for the Nintendo 64 controller specifically. And man, I wish we had this back when we were doing GoldenEye.
So true. Oh my god.
Oh, that was a nightmare. And this is going to make it so much better, because
it's going to be a game changer. Some of these games are a nightmare. Yeah. They are just terrible with the way they want to lay the buttons out.
It really is. Like, if you're using like the Nintendo 64 game controller you can have with NSO, it's probably fine, but they just don't translate very well to a Pro controller or Joy-Con in the way that they should. So having a way to, customize the buttons to your liking, like, this should just be like a feature in everything, basically. And I think it is, on the Switch 2, more of a system-wide thing, where you can do it per game, I believe. But it's nice to know that you can do it specifically with 64 Online, and that it's working for people who have a Switch 1 as well. That's just updating. So,
because of course, if you didn't know, you can already do custom button mapping on the Switch as a whole, of course. The problem it's just nice to have it specifically for this,
Yeah, otherwise it just messes up you trying to navigate menus and stuff, and so this is just a nicer way of making it more accessible, I suppose. And speaking of accessible, our final bit of news for now is probably the big... I may have got ahead of myself when I called GTA 6 the big game of the decade, because Garfield Kart 2,
yeah.
All You Can Drift, has been announced for this year. I believe it's coming to the Switch as well. And I can assure you, the moment it goes on sale for 99p, and it will, we're going to be picking this up. Right, Kai?
Begrudgingly, yes, that is actually true. Off the bat, excellent name, All You Can Drift. Love the buffet style. Right? Yeah, I think we just have to, but only when it is 99p. And then we'll all pick it up, and I was going to say have a good time. We'll have a time. I don't know. I ironically quite enjoyed Garfield Kart. I think there's a certain level where when it gets so absurd, and you don't take it seriously in the slightest, you just have a lot of fun with it.
I do have a good video of just two of us crashing into each other and then me being pushed through the floor. If I can, maybe I'll even include it in this, but it's just those special moments that you don't get in Mario Kart that has its own charm. It's garbage charm, but it's charm nonetheless. And that cannot be denied. Literally, there's no videos on this. It says it's got like 8 playable characters, which I think is the exact same as the first one. It literally looks like it is just the first one. There might not even be any changes, for all I know. I wouldn't be surprised. But still,
you think it's the exact same game, and they just put more maps into it.
I'm not even sure they put more maps into it, Kai. I can't.
You think it might just be the exact same game? Oh my god!
It says customizable carts. Did the first game have that? I think that's new. I think.
Oh god!
I wouldn't be surprised if that's all that's new. But we will find out eventually when it's 99p.
I guess we will. I say this, I actually did enjoy it quite a lot, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we still haven't picked up Garfield Lasagna Party, so maybe that's one to in the meantime, But
it's on the list.
Backlog ever growing. Exclusively, like, there's backlog games and then there's Garfield backlog games. They get their own category.
Yeah, but, Garfield gets its own lists.
But until then, the next thing we have upcoming is, of course, the launch of the Switch 2. And as there's not too much news this month, or not too many games we've got to talk about either, I thought it'd be prudent to just sort of go over what our plans are for the Switch 2 launch. Sort of what we're getting, exactly how many games we're planning to pick up, and I guess I'll pass things over to you to start with, Kai. What are your sort of ideas of what you're going to do for the launch?
For the Switch, what, in terms of like on the day?
Yeah, pretty much, or I guess within the first month or so. Any sort of games you're planning to pick up, accessories you want, that kind of thing. If you don't know, I can go first.
How busy I've been, I have no idea. I think, to be honest, I'm just going to get the console when it comes out. We'll probably, we'll do some Mario Kart together, I'm sure. And I will just continue playing Xenoblade X on it. I don't think there are any other games that I'm going to pick up at launch. I think it's just Mario Kart, because I just want to get through my backlog and I'll buy these games later. The awkward one is the new Donkey Kong game. Is that coming out on launch day?
That's coming out a month afterwards, or about a month afterwards, mid-July.
I'm really
maybe.
Conflicted on that one, because it's meant. I think it sort of gives the vibe of spiritual successor to Odyssey, but at the same time, it really doesn't click with me in the same way. I've never been interested in Donkey Kong games, and like, I don't know, it's dark, I think is the way to put it, in terms of like a lot of the environments are just very visually dark, not thematically. And it's like, no, I like how big and open the Odyssey worlds are, like, I don't know. So maybe it's not such a successor, but I'm actually maybe not picking that up. I think it will just be Mario Kart and then back to Xenoblade X.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's hard to say. Like, that's also one where it could be worth just seeing what reviews are, or maybe they'll drop a demo or something. I think for launch, I mean, Mario Kart is the big one, and I'm the same as you in that. Although I haven't got the Xenoblade X to play through, I've done that now. I've still got a backlog. I bought Persona 5 Strikers and haven't played that yet, so I don't really want to dig into too much else. But I will say I'm tempted by Deltarune because I love the first 2 chapters. So that having 2 more, that's definitely one I want to get sooner rather than later. I also I'm kind of tempted by Cyberpunk because that is, I feel like it's the kind of game that would work very well on the go to sort of just chill out and just do some like side questing and exploring kind of thing. The city. I've played a bit of it out of friends. I know I want to get the game at some point, and it's a matter of, do I want to play it on the PlayStation where it will be better looking, or is the portability worth it? And from how good people are saying the port is and the specs that are coming out of it, I might be tempted, but probably not launch. That's probably it from me, though. I think Mario Kart's gonna take up a lot of my time. I guess the other thing is, are you planning to get any other... Are you getting like a Pro Controller with it, or you getting the camera? Or just basic? I think I'm going pretty basic myself.
Do we know if just checking, the Switch 1 Pro controllers work for the Switch 2, right?
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got my Xenoblade one that I'm very happy with, so I probably won't even pick up a Pro controller.
Same.
I'm not planning on getting the camera. I think it's fun, but I'm not going to use it enough.
Same here.
And yeah, none of the other accessories really stand out to me. Maybe there'll be a point where I get a second set of the new Joy-Cons. Like, again, do you know if the old ones work there as well? Or?
Yes, they will work. The problem with these is you can't, for example, you can't use them to start up the console. And the Joy-Cons, you can't charge them. Yeah. So, I mean, you'll have to keep them, keep your old Switch and, charge them by just charging that with them on it or that kind of thing, you know? There are ways around it, but it will be a little more awkward. But Pro Controller, the fact you can charge it just with any cable, it'll work fine. I feel like I might pick one up later down the line, especially if they get another Xenoblade Special Edition or whatnot, or a Zelda one I like or something. But for now, I think I'm going to stick with my Pro Controller. I do need to get a case because I am going to be taking it places, and I have a vivid memory of, with my Switch 1, I didn't have a case for the first month or two, and I went to stay at my friend's place in uni, and when I took it in my suitcase on the way there, to keep it safe, I bundled it up in my shirts just to keep it protected. Okay. I was like, I need to stop this from being bounced around somehow in my case. They're clean shirts, but still, that'll do. But so I need something to not have to do that with the Switch 2, especially considering it's so expensive. So I will be getting a case. I just need to find which one. But
fair enough. I've got a good Breath of the Wild one, but I've actually run out of capacity for how many cartridges I can put in there. In the normal way, at least. So I've either got to pick out some games that I don't care to bring, which I'll probably just do, or maybe I'll get a new case. But I think for now I'll just base, the console, and that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Either way, it's going to be hype. You're planning to just find one in? Are you in store? Is it, Kai?
Yeah, it's maybe not the most planned approach, considering I could have just done the normal thing of pre-booking. So I don't know why I didn't do that.
To be fair, they seem pretty well stocked in the UK, at least. I think some other places are having problems, especially America. But I keep seeing them going up. Here's another batch you can pre-order from Argus or whatever, So I don't think you'll have too much of a problem. If you go somewhere like a Curry's or in your town or whatever, you're likely to find one. I've got mine ordered from Nintendo, so hopefully that'll arrive all okay. But I think you should get one, if not at the very launch, at the very least shortly thereafter. But fingers crossed. We'll of course be talking about that next month, our impressions, and maybe we'll do our own video on it. That might be wise, but where to even start is the question. We are going from what do we talk about to holy shit, we have too many things to talk about. But that's a good problem to have. So we cannot complain. And I guess that about sums it up for this month in news. So let's move on to our final segment of the podcast, Games Time Baby, where we talk about the games we've been playing over the past month. And I'm just going to preface this with, we are skipping over Xenoblade X. I've beaten it. Kai's still playing it. That'll be its own video when we get to that. So it will be coming. But until then, Kai, why don't you start us off with something that we've both been playing?
So Stardew Valley. We've been playing some Stardew Valley. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been good. We've set up an 8-player server with 8 of us, although typically it's mainly like there's typically like maybe 4 or 5 of us active on there, and then Matt runs around and like harasses me, and then that's basically
You're not incorrect.
But it's been cool to set one up. So before starting this server, neither of us had ever played Stardew and had watched very little of it, so didn't really know how the game worked.
My basic experience was the Brentalfloss parody song. That's basically all I knew about it.
Yeah, right. I didn't really know much at all. I just knew it as a farming sim, and that there was fishing. And so we've just gotten to 1 full year in the game, and we've also just finished building the community centre, I believe it is, like all of the normal bundles, for those who play the game, so they'll know what that means. So we've made a very significant amount of progress, because obviously when there's more of you, you can do that much quicker. And we're now getting into some interesting later game stuff. But no, it's just been fun going around doing things, seeing how all the activities work in multiplayer. We've had a lot of fun with that. I'll say that I've still got the accolade of I have not done a single bit of farming. I've not placed a single seed or crop. I've not harvested a single one. I'm not even certain I've sold one before. So I don't even know how much they go for. I have made.
Same.
I've basically just become a fish tycoon. I've been fishing, smoking them, and then selling them for lots of money. That's all
Pretty
I've
much.
been doing for like the whole year.
Niche.
Is I've just been building up that niche exactly of just fishing and selling them for money. And I'm not even particularly that good at either the fishing or the money gathering, because I'm not doing that well. But it's just been fun. I've been enjoying it. Seeing all the different things there are to do in the game and the places to go. All the events again are just really good. It's just been a fun little collaborative thing. I think, to be honest, if I was playing it single player, I would struggle, in the sense that there is so much to do that it would just take up so much time, because we're playing the game. We've been playing since January? Is that right? Like maybe every other Saturday since for about 4 months now. We've put, actually, let me just open up my Steam and see how much time we've put into the game. But we've put I've got about 32 hours, and we've just done everything. But to be honest, only a couple of people did most of that work. If I was playing this on my own with very little knowledge of how the game works, it would take me like 300 hours to get to where we are now. Which is good in the sense it's got lots of longevity, but there's so much to do that I would probably feel so inept. So I think that doing it multiplayer, where everyone can focus on their own little thing, is good. Like, I have been able to pitch in random places, often revolving around fishing. So it's just been fun. It's fun. It's chill. That's what Stardew's meant to be.
Yeah, because as much as you made it sound like you are a bad player, you could be worse. You could always be me, because I'm going to be very real with you. I actively dislike this game. I knew Stardew would. I'm gonna offend people here, but there's nothing wrong with it in the terms of it's very much not for me, and I knew that it wouldn't be for me going into it. There's a reason I haven't played it, despite how beloved it is. But I thought, okay, playing it as friend, maybe I can get into it playing it with friends, that kind of thing. Like, there's value in that.
Yeah.
Nope, I hate the game way more than I thought I would. And to be clear, I've had a good time playing it because I'm hanging out with my friends. But talking about critically about the game itself, no, I despise it. Like, it's so boring. I would die. I can't make myself do any of the activities in game. I haven't done any farming or anything. You're accurate. All I do is harass you. That's right. I just walk around pissing about. I try not to actively, you know, disrupt people's farming or something. I don't want to ruin it for other people.
Yeah.
But I just do stupid shit, like put up dumb signs or find a way to softlock Kai in my house so he's trapped, which I did let you go, but that was funny. It's just because I physically can't make myself play the game. I actively hate myself when I make myself play the game. So I just do dumb stuff instead to pass the time. But no, it's just very much not for me. It's not remotely for me. I can see like why it's so good and why people love it. And I have been having a good time just talking with you guys, doing, you know, finding out stuff. I got rejected after trying to marry someone. I've now buried the ring. It's a memory of my loss. There's some funny moments that have popped up playing it. But man, do I actually hate the game itself.
Well, I think, I mean, you might be having the same issue that Jose did, where when I think you actually you suffer from the opposite issue I do. Whereas I think that I would struggle with single player because there's so much to do. I almost think because we're in multiplayer and everyone else is doing things, it's maybe difficult for you to keep up with it. Like, you know, there's just because you know if everything else is being done by everyone else and they're all on the objectives and there is no objective for you, the game isn't fun, because if you don't have an objective, you just wander around in this game with no action, going, what the hell do I do?
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I hadn't thought about it. Like, I think there is definitely an element of it of just I mean, if I played it by myself, I would have given up in 10 minutes. Like, I wouldn't enjoy the gameplay loop. But I do also see what you mean, where it is an element of the game is meant to like slowly tutorial, you know, build your way up to doing small bits and then get bigger and bigger. But because everyone started doing the crazy stuff, it's like, yeah, what do I do at this point? So I can see what you mean. Not that I blame them for doing that, because I would rather they do that. I wasn't going to get into it either way. But I can see how that is a factor, yeah. But again, regardless, especially to the people I've played this with who may be listening, I'm having a good time. I just... and the game is good. It's just not a me game. But I've had a lot of good memories playing it so far, so I can't complain, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But I guess that moves things on. I've got one game I want to mention here to end things off on, which I just managed to finish in time, and that is Ace Attorney Miles Edgeworth Investigations, the first one in the set on the new collection that came out. And, like, admittedly, I kind of at the point where I'm almost like, I've talked about, I think this is the 10th Ace Attorney game I've talked about on this podcast. What do I say at this point? Because they're all the same. Like, not in a bad way either. Like, they're all gameplay, like, exactly the same. They have the same strengths. They're incredibly consistent. They're all damn good. And it's kind of hard to talk about. But, you know, I'm getting to the end now, and at the very least, this is a spin-off, right? You play as Edgeworth, the prosecutor, and that should make it more different. But the funny thing is, what this game actively does is it goes out of its way, despite having the premise that you would think would be different, it goes out of its way to just play like any other Ace Attorney game, which I find quite funny. So what I'll sort of get into the gameplay a bit, is that you are just doing investigations. And what this game sort of does is it combines investigation and trials into one part of the game, and the only part of the game. So, whereas you still investigate basically the same way. It's no longer point and click. You actually get to sort of walk around these small areas and interact with things, which is quite nice. The new artwork is really nice, and you can switch to the pixel art if you prefer. They're both there, which is cool. So it's sort of cool. You get to move around these environments, but at the end of the day, it's the same. You walk up to something, you interact with it, you add it to your court record, and then rather than going to the trial, you then have to talk with people there and get their testimony, which you will then press and present the right piece of evidence to find the contradiction, the exact same you would at a court. So basically what they've done here is rather than having you play as a prosecutor, they've had it so how can we make it so Miles plays exactly the same as a defense attorney by having him do everything in the investigations rather than at court, which in a way does kind of feel like a bit of missed potential to do something different. But also, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose. Like, it's still good. It still works, you know, presenting at the right time as the music changes. A lot of badass remixes in this, you know, very hype. It's the classic formula, and it's still damn good here. It's got a lot of like likable characters. Your new sidekick Kay, of course, you've got to have the quirky girl character in there. It's Ace Attorney. I do like how it, especially coming off the sequels, the Apollo Justice trilogy. This is very traditional. So you've got characters like Gumshoe's back. You've got Franziska in there. It's a lot of smaller cameos. I won't mention all of them, but some significant, some background. But if you've played the OG trilogy, you'll know it. Like, there's a lot of love for it in here, which is great. References and whatnot. And, like, yeah, it's just a solid Ace Attorney game that doesn't do anything mind-blowing on the level of, like, Trials and Tribulations or Great Ace Attorney. But I've heard that's what the second one does, right? That's when it comes to Edgeworth, everyone talks about the second game. And this is really like the appetizer, I suppose. And for that purpose, yeah, it's good. I really can't complain. Because you have you even seen these ones, Kai?
No, I've not. I've been trying to keep in the dark because I do want to play them at some point. Not immediately on my radar, but eventually. And I mean, wow, the amount of times you said investigations, they should like name the game after that or something. That's crazy.
Imagine.
I do kind of see that though. It's like, they did essentially, from my knowledge, make Miles into just another protagonist like the others. Doesn't really do anything different.
Yeah.
I would maybe argue that, you know, in the main games, like, the protagonist ends up basically becoming a prosecutor by the end anyway, in terms of, like, at the back end of every trial, they're accusing someone. But I do also think, like, maybe there could have at least been some sort of a different approach where you're not having to defend someone first. Maybe it's the other, shoes on the other foot, where you start off accusing someone, and then by the end of it, you're defending. I don't know. I'm spitting without thinking here. But I do think maybe there's more they could do with that formula. But for old games that are being remade, it's interesting. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting around to it. And they do always talk about the second game. So I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on that when that happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a great time. Like, I'd absolutely recommend picking these up some point. Another point I didn't mention, actually, one gameplay thing I do like is that they have this whole sort of logic section where rather than picking up, don't go with that. But now that I think about it, it basically you have instead of picking up like evidence for your court records, which you also do, sometimes you pick up thoughts, and then you can sort of combine two thoughts together to like come to realization, and then that realization becomes a new thought that you can combine with another thought to sort of basically piece together what happened bit by bit rather than through testimony, which I think that's a really cool idea.
There are a lot of indie, or maybe not even indie, there's a lot of Sherlock Holmes-based games that do that. They kind of expand upon the Mind Palace theme by doing exactly that, where all of the evidence in your brain will connect. And there's a game from about 2 years ago, I cannot remember what the name of it is for the life of me, but it was one of these Sherlock Holmes games, where it gave you all the evidence. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it gave you all the evidence that went on. Obviously, if you didn't investigate properly, you just missed evidence. And then you could choose to make certain links, and then, it'd give you options on what your conclusion is from that. But you can choose to link the evidence in any set of ways. So you can arrive at completely different conclusions, and then when you end up accusing someone, you can accuse completely different people or completely different methods, depending on what your connections were. And there is only one objective truth, but the fact that there's all those different outcomes, I almost think, man, if they took that Sherlock Holmes style of whatever game I'm thinking of and made that an Edgeworth game, I feel like that would be... I mean, the issue is the open-endedness it would cause, I suppose, but it does sound like that's kind of what they've done in terms of linking the evidence together, and it's always a cool idea.
Yeah, it's way more basic, but it is kind of along those lines. That's a similar concept. And look, I know we've mentioned it before, I'm pretty sure, but you know, I mean, I'm going to be, once I finish this duology, then I am done with Ace Attorney games. I'm completely caught up. So if they need a new idea, Van Zeek's investigations, you know, add Herlock in there. You know, it's there's stuff you could do. I would absolutely take it.
Yeah, I'm fiending for a Great Ace Attorney 3 with some prelude cases of Sholmes from his glory days, shall we say?
Oh yes.
You know, a case of that, another Sasato case. There's some potential there. There's some potential there. It could, you know, it could basically just be a bunch of like you know, things designed just to please fans, and that's it. Like, it could just be fan service for all 5 cases with no plot, and I think it would bang. So we'll see. Like, it's weird because what they've done in the last like 10 years is they've stopped making new games. I guess like 8 years. They haven't made any new games. They've just remade every single game.
But I do wonder, and this is probably me reading into things and being overly optimistic, but what really surprised me was that last year, within the span of like 9 months, we got both the Apollo Justice trilogy and the Edgeworth Investigations trilogy. And you think if you're like holding out on a new game, you think you'd spread those out a bit more. So maybe they're released them close together because there's a new game coming up sooner rather than later. Like, I don't know. There
has to be
me reading way too much into it, but yeah, even like. Leighton's coming back. Do another Leighton crossover. You know, whatever. Just give us something. But we'll have to see. But for now, like, yes, this game was a very solid Ace Attorney game, and I don't know when I'll get to it again. Switch 2 coming out, Mario Kart, crazy stuff. But at some point this year, I will get to the second one, and people often again put that on the level of like Trials and Tribulations and Resolve as like the best of the series. So hopefully it lives up to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this month. Holy shit, my finger's about to fall off from holding this button. I'm telling you, Kai, this is going to be an edit job because every time I let go, it goes down. I have to fluctuate up and down. This is going to be a nightmare, but it's going to be fun. Let's put it that way. So let's end things off here for the month. Thank you everyone for watching. Of course, you can find us here on BunchaJokahs on YouTube or Spotify for audio-only versions of the podcast. We also do on YouTube reactions to any directs, some gameplay videos. We'll get to trying 3 eventually, right? So,
how about this? We'll do that when we hit 5 years of the channel.
Oh shit! Oh yeah! Happy 5 years, everyone!
Waiting for the penny to drop there. Yeah. Oh.
I was gonna mention that, at the beginning, and I completely forgot to, but damn, I feel like I prefer not to mention it because it makes me feel old as shit. But, yeah, maybe...
Sam still hasn't finished Xenoblade 3.
Maybe he will for the 10th year anniversary. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. But, on that note, thank you guys for watching. Guess you can find us all there. And where can you find yourself at, Kai?
Twitch.tv/Fascurreyn, playing Nier at the moment. That's going to be a fun video. That's where I'm at. Where can we find you at, similarly?
You can hopefully find me at twitch.tv/TheChosenOneLegend, finishing Zero Escape if I get around to it. I keep missing streams, but my next one should be the last one. So if you're lucky enough to catch me actually doing it, I should be finishing off the game. Very intrigued to see how it all ends. Because I've done all the routes except for the true route. The true ending, I guess. So, crazy stuff coming up. But until then, thank you for watching. Happy Switch 2, everyone. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Goodbye.